Relaxation techniques. These are some of the best things that you can do to train your mind and body for a calmer outlook in your day-to-day life. And so that you're less reactive to any stressors that do show up in your life. Because we can't change the outer world and say, boy, I really would like nobody else in the world to ever bring stress into my life. You know, I was actually with somebody one time, he said, oh, this phone, every time this phone rings, it just stresses me out. You cannot keep your phone from ringing, nor would you want to forever. You have to train your body to react to that buzzing, that beeping, that ringing, whatever you have your phone set to, differently. The change has to be internal. So the first one I'm going to teach you is bilateral stimulation. This one is really fun, and researchers they disagree a little bit about what the mechanism is behind what causes this to be so powerful, but outcomes research shows it's very powerful. I use it with all of my clients to great success. I initially learned this, not knowing it was called bilateral stimulation at the time, and not understanding why it worked at the time, when I was volunteering in my eldest daughter's 3-year-old preschool classroom. And I volunteered fairly regularly, and I went in one day, and it was mayhem. It was one of those days where every child came in, blah, blah, like just throwing their backpack down. It's not getting into the cubby, running around, into all the books, into all the toys. The class hadn't even started yet. And I felt my stress level going, every child who came in, I could feel like a little bit more incremental stress. And I thought, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? This is going to be quite a day. It's only 3 hours, but 3 hours can feel like a long time when you have 23-year-olds running around like maniacs. And I love them dearly. They were just a bit wild that day. So I kind of gave this look to the teacher like, oh boy, this is going to be something. Good thing you have a volunteer today. You know, we're kind of having this discussion through eye contact. And then she did something really interesting. She said, wow, kids, you have a lot of energy today. What a positive reframe. You have a lot of energy. Lots of wiggles and giggles. That's awesome. Because you can put all those wiggles and giggles to good use for your learning. Come on up, everybody. Line up. And she set them all next to each other with their feet all on the same line. And there they stood. And she said, I want you to take that seed of learning and place it in the ground in front of you. Good, and now I want you to take all your wiggles and giggles, and I want you to gather them from your whole body, from your feet, up your legs, from your head, down through your shoulders, from your body, up into your shoulders, all the way down into your arms and hands. Get it all down into your arms and hands. That's right, all of that energy, all of those wiggles and giggles in your arms and hands. And just like a gardener, you're going to water that seed of learning. You're going to be like the watering can, okay? So put your arms out in front of you. Make your hands face to the outside. Cross your arms and interlace your fingers just like I'm doing. And now take all of that energy, all of those wiggles and giggles that you've gathered in your hands. Deep breath in, and on the exhalation, pour it all out on your seed of learning. And then they stood up and they took one more deep breath. And the energy in the entire room had shifted. They were all focused. They were all calm. They were all relaxed. She had done an amazing number of beautiful hypnotic and neurolinguistic programming tools and techniques. Deep breathing, guided visualization, and then bilateral stimulation, which is crossing the midline. The theory going that we can only perseverate and worry and think the same worrying thought over and over when we're stuck in one side of our brain. And when we get both hemispheres of the brain to connect, we immediately calm down. We get out of our reptilian brain and into our prefrontal cortex where we can think rationally and logically. And she had just caused all of those kids in that class to do that without saying, now kids, we're going to get you to think rationally and logically, and that'll get you calmed down. She guided them through it in a way that worked for their age range. And they all were then ready to learn. And they all went back to their seats. And they did. They learned beautifully. And they were very easy to deal with through the rest of that class. It was incredible. I mean, hooray for our preschool teachers who deal with a lot on a regular basis. They weren't listed in one of the top 10 most stressful jobs, but they deal with a lot on a regular basis. So, bilateral stimulation. The way I was taught bilateral stimulation, and you can do it with your pens that I've left for you on your seats. I was taught to hold an object in one hand, T-pose, as they say now. My husband's a game designer, so T-pose is part of the family vocabulary. Arms out to the side. And what you're going to do is you're going to come to the middle, close to the middle, and change that object from one hand to the other. But you notice I came past the midline, put it in my other hand, back out to the side. Yep, and you can do it with me. Come to the middle, but past the middle. Go past the middle with the hand that has something in it right now, and give it to the other hand. It's almost like you can even think of taking that object all the way over to the hand. But I can't do that without twisting my whole body. There you go. Okay? And what you're doing is you're crossing the midline. So now think about that topic that we discussed earlier that brings you stress and anxiety, or maybe that's been released. Think about another topic, something that makes you a little worried on your day-to-day basis. Okay? And we're going to do bilateral stimulation while crossing the midline. And as you're doing it, you're going to find it harder and harder to keep bringing that topic, that stressor, back to mind. Okay? So think about it. Now start doing bilateral stimulation. And then arms back out to the side. And you can do your deep breathing, your calm breathing while you're doing this. Breathing into the count of 4. And out to the count of 8. You can relax your jaw. It's a little harder to relax your shoulders, but you can still have soft shoulders. You don't have to have them up here while you're moving. Good, and then let your arms relax. And how does that feel? You find that it's harder and harder to bring that stressor even back to mind. You cannot worry about it in the same way. It's really powerful, even though it's small. Now, if you've ever met somebody who plays with their keys, back and forth with their keys, you know what they're doing? Bilateral stimulation. They're self-soothing. It drives everybody else around them crazy. Clink, 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 clink. But they are self-soothing themselves through crossing the midline. It's just one way of dealing with it. I have a lot of clients who come to me for fear of public speaking. A lot of people are worried about getting up in front of other people. And I do a lot of tools and techniques with them. But one of the ones that I do is bilateral stimulation. I teach them this so that they can be behind stage, behind the curtain, ready to go out in front of a huge audience. And they can either do it the big way that everybody can see them doing, or they can cross their hands and, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, just up and down with my pointer finger, my index fingers. I just let my body know it's all okay. Look. Stay in the rational brain space. And when we do that, we feel calmer. All right. The next relaxation tool and technique. This is one of my favorites too. This is emotional freedom techniques, EFT, otherwise known as tapping. And tapping is like acupuncture without the needles. It is like acupressure, therefore, where we're releasing stuck emotions from different meridians in our body. The good news is you don't have to know where the meridians are. You don't have to know which meridians govern which emotion. You just have to tap a certain set of points. And basically what we're doing is we're pushing all the buttons. We're pushing the button for grief and sadness and anger and stress, okay? So that through following the pattern of tapping, you're naturally releasing all of those emotions, okay? I'm going to explain the structure of it first, and then we'll do it together. It begins with what we call a setup phrase. And the setup phrase is 3 statements of unconditional self-love while tapping the karate chop point. The karate chop point is the fleshy part of the side of the palm between the wrist and the base of the pinky, okay? So right here, right where you would, hi-ya, break a board if you're practicing karate. And you're going to take the inner side of your pointer finger, your index finger of the other hand, and tap that fleshy part. There you go. And you could do it with one hand or the other hand. It doesn't matter. Different people find they like doing it on different hands, okay? And we're going to give 3 statements of unconditional self-love as we're doing the tapping there, okay? Then we're going to tap through what EFTers, tappers, call the negative round. I don't really care for that phrase because I'm trained in neuro-linguistic programming. I know that positive words lead to positive outcomes. So I like to think of it as leaning in to the difficult or challenging emotion, letting yourself feel the stress and anxiety, because what you're doing is you're bringing it from deep inside of yourself more to the outside where it can be felt and therefore released, okay? So we're going to tap through while feeling more of our stress and anxiety, okay? We're going to let it come up big and strong. Then we're going to break state, which means stop tapping, think about something else, think about your drive here, think about what you had for breakfast this morning. A lot of people aren't eating breakfast these days. There's a lot of intermittent fasting. Think about your drive here, whatever helps you get your mind off of whatever the stressor is, okay? And then we're going to do a positive round of tapping through the same points, which I'll show you in just a moment. They're listed up here. And that positive round will be where we release the emotion, where we feel through it, and we reframe. So the points. One of the points, the first point we're going to use is called the eyebrow point. And it's right here between the 2 eyebrows. It's not down on the bridge of the nose. It's not up on the forehead. It's really right between the eyebrows. And I like to use my pointer finger and middle finger to tap. Okay? And then we'll use the one called outside of the eye. And outside of the eye, I'll take those 2 fingers on both hands. You can do it on one side or the other side. I like to do it on both sides when I can, just because it feels symmetrical and I like that. But if you find the end of your eyebrows and you follow them down to the bone, the eye socket bone. You don't want to be too close to the eye. You want to be on bone, okay? And you're going to tap there. The next point, and I'll guide you through all of this, is called under the eye, and you follow that same bone around until you're under the eyes. Not on the fleshy part, but on the bone. Good. The next point is called under the nose, and it's between the base of the nose and the top lip, the upper lip. And I always do this one just with one hand because it's a bit crowded to do both hands. Good. The next one is called the chin point, but it's not actually on our chin. It's halfway between the lower lip and the chin on the indentation. Good. The next one is called collarbone point. Now, our collarbones are right here. Some people's collarbones are more prominent than others. If you're a man, then you'll feel your Adam's apple inside both the collarbones there. For us women, we just feel them and find them, and we tap on both collarbone points. Now, there are a lot of energy points in the whole area that I call the high heart. So I like to do all over the collarbone. Trying to be careful of my microphone here. The collarbone and all over the high heart. Okay? The next point is, and actually it shows up here as the sore spot. That's the high heart area I'm talking about. The next point is under the arms. What you want to do is you want to reach under your armpit and go down about 2 inches. So for us ladies, it's probably near the top of our bra strap. For men, just go down a couple finger widths from underneath your arm. And it probably feels pretty, it might even feel bruised. It's probably a little tender or sore. It's one of our spots that hold a lot of energy, and by tapping on it, we help release those. Now, there are other points. There are many, many more points. People who teach EFT as their entire job, there are people who do that, teach points on the fingers, teach points on the legs, going down the legs. But this is all we really need to know for now, okay? And these are the major points. You can do this with any emotion that's coming up for you, just like all of these tools and techniques. We're going to use stress and anxiety because that's what this presentation is about. We want to release it. So think about something that brings some stress and anxiety in your life. Whether that's work, whether that's home, whether that's kids, whether that's some of the larger stressors, deaths in the family, moving, big stressors. Maybe it's something smaller. Maybe you're so well adjusted, you just have a tiny little stress and anxiety in your life. And that's good too. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so let's do it together. And I'll guide you through it. We're going to tap on the karate chop point. All of this stress and anxiety, even though I have all of this stress and anxiety, and you can think it in your head after I say it, even though I have all of this stress and anxiety, I completely love and accept myself anyway. Even though I feel a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety from time to time, I completely love and accept who I am. Even though sometimes I wonder how I'm going to cope because of all the stress and anxiety, I completely love who I am and accept myself wholeheartedly. That's the setup phrase. Now tapping through the points, leaning in. All of this stress and anxiety. Really letting yourself feel it, coming up big and strong. There's too much to do and too little time. Side of the eye. How am I supposed to get everything done that I'm supposed to get done? Let alone get it done well. And I want to get it done well. I want to achieve. I want to succeed. Underneath the eye. It feels like there's truly too much to get done. And so I get my commitments to others done, but sometimes not to myself. Under the nose. What can fall off of my to-do list? Anything that I can take off my to-do list, I do, because there's so much stress and anxiety. Chin. And I feel it so regularly that sometimes it starts interfering with how I'm feeling in my body, my mental health, my thoughts, my physical body. It's all just too much. Collarbone and high heart. And I can feel it coming up. And I just don't know how I'm going to get it all done. How am I going to get it all done and do a good job? Feel like I'm honoring myself in the process, all over the high heart area. Underneath our armpits, I've got stress at work. I've got stress at home. Other armpit. I've got other big stressors in my life. Sometimes kids whom we love dearly, and yet they bring some stress, right? Sometimes other big things, big purchases. How am I going to cope? Okay, stop tapping, break state, deep breath in, deep breath out. Might want to roll your eyes around a little bit just because it gets you thinking about something different. Think about your drive here, what you ate for breakfast, something calming. I love yawning. It's okay to yawn. Yawning is the release of stuck energy. Anything that we're holding in, we release through our yawn. And I can keep saying yawn, 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 and we'll all start yawning. And then, what's the next thing we do? We take a deep inhalation and we reoxygenate. That's what we do. And we reoxygenate our brains, and now we're ready to focus and think again. So yawning is great. It's a release of stuck energy. Okay? All right, it means energy is moving, which is what we want to happen. It's when it's stuck that it causes problems for us. All right? All right, so we've broken state. Now let's tap through the positive round. We've already done the setup point, so now we're going to just tap through the points. It's true that I do have a lot of stress and anxiety. That's true. However, I also have a lot of people at work and at home who are willing to help me. I can lean on others. Side of the eye. I can proactively communicate and let them know that there's too much on my plate. I can't get it all done. That'll help bridge the gap between what I'm expected to do and what I can actually do. Underneath the eyes. And the more mindful I stay, the more I stay in the moment, the more I just get done what I can get done in that immediate moment. I can't get done more than I can get done in that immediate moment. If I'm doing my best, then I'm doing my best. You can't do more than your best, right? I can't do more than my best. I can just try my hardest and know that in each and every moment, mindfully, I'm doing my best. Underneath the nose. So I can communicate. I can lean on others. Chin point. I can ask for help. People are willing to give help. People actually like giving help to others. It makes them feel good about themselves. Look, I'm helping another human being who's requested help and assistance. They need the help, and here I am. Ask for help. Collarbone, high heart. And it's in these moments when I feel like I have to drop the self-care, when I don't have time for self-care. It's in those moments that self-care has to take a first priority. Because through taking a long sip of cool, clear, fresh, life-enhancing water and relaxing myself, and through taking a break for lunch or just to walk around and clear my head, through doing those things, that's how I'm in a better place in the next moment to deal with all of my demands, all of my obligations, all of my commitments. It's okay. The most important things will rise to the top underneath the armpit. Let me say that again. The most important things will rise to the top and get done. Underneath the other armpit. In the past, you've had a lot of stress and you've gotten through it, and here you are, safe and healthy today. Let go. Let it go. I let that stress go. Top of the head. This is how we end it. And I like to go all over the top of the head because there are lots of points up here. Thank you, higher self, universe, God, whatever you think of the higher connection. Thank you for helping me realize I have options to all of these overcommitments. Thank you for helping me realize that no matter what's going on in my outer world, I can take care of my inner world. I can bring myself to peace and inner calm, and therefore deal with those external responsibilities even better. Thank you for helping me realize that all is well, all the time, all the time, all is well. Stop tapping, deep breath in, deep breath out, cleansing, deep breath, release. And feel how good you feel. Usually when I do this with clients, I will have them rate themselves on a scale of 0 to 10 before we start. 0 is I'm not feeling any stress or anxiety or whatever the emotion is that we're dealing with at the time. 10 is I'm feeling it so strongly that it feels bad to even be in my skin. I want to run away. It's huge. It's really impacting me. And we figure out where their top baseline is. Then we do a round of tapping. And then we reassess and see how much lower it is. And if they need a second round of tapping, we do it. Okay? You can do as many rounds of tapping in a row as you want to. In fact, sometimes you'll find that if you're working with anger, anger often masks anxiety or grief or hurt. So if you're tapping on anxiety, the anxiety will go away, and then all of a sudden you'll feel this upwelling of emotion and you'll feel like you need to cry. And then you can tap through grief, sadness. Okay? So again, you can use it with any emotion that you want, and you can actually, if you want to, rate yourself on that 0 to 10 scale and see how it decreases with each and every round of tapping. And it's very powerful to help you process through those emotions and those feelings that until now have felt very stuck and felt like they're controlling you. It's almost like you're taking control and saying, no, I am setting the conscious intention to let it go. Now, some of my clients will say to me, this works so great for me when I'm doing it with you. When I'm in your office and you're guiding me through it, it is 2 thumbs up. It's fantastic. But when I go home, I can't think of what to say. And I get tripped up and I stumble over my words and I spend 5 minutes trying to figure out what to say at the first point, the eyebrow point. What am I supposed to say? There is a basic primer that I give them that I'm going to tell you right now, because the words, speak whatever words are on your heart. If you can't think of any though, it's still okay. You can still do this in a very basic, easy way. You would still do the setup phrase. Even though I'm feeling all of this, fill in the blank with your emotion, I completely love and accept myself. And you can say the same thing 2 more times exactly if you want to. Even though I'm feeling all this stress, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm feeling all this stress, I completely love and accept myself. Then you do the negative round of tapping by leaning in. All you have to say is, all this stress, all this stress, all this stress, all this stress, down through all the points. Break state, take a deep breath, think about something else. The positive round, I let it go. I let it go. I let it go. I let go of all my stress. I let it go. It can be really, really, really easy. So don't let the fear that I'm not trained in EFT, or I don't know all the words I'm supposed to say, or I don't have somebody professional guiding me through this. It does not matter. You have the ability to change your state from one of stress and anxiety to one of calm relaxation and inner peace anytime you want.